Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. It's just gone 5:05. You're listening to Women Talk with me in the studio today, Catherine Holmes and Kate McGrath. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you for coming in. If you're listening at home and you'd like to get involved, you are more than welcome. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
Okay, there was an article this week talking about things that we should and shouldn't put in the fridge. Things that are best kept cold, things that are best kept room temperature, things that are best kept in a dark cupboard, all that kind of thing. Now, bearing in mind this is for people living in the UK, and of course temperatures are different in Spain. So I always think that, if you're reading UK media and whatever, and they talk about room temperature, it's totally different here in Spain, especially as it gets warmer. We can't take it as literal, but I thought it was an interesting discussion. It says here in the article, salad. It says most of us keep salad items in the drawers at the bottom of the fridge and fruit in a bowl on the worktop. Do you do that?
Yes.
I do.
I keep everything in the fridge now.
Do you?
Except maybe avocados and tomatoes. Although I do keep the little tomatoes in the fridge.
Right, so big tomatoes out, little tomatoes in. Okay, interesting. I keep some fruit in the fridge. I keep bananas, kiwis and grapes out of the fridge.
So bananas go black then.
And then I put strawberries, raspberries and blueberries in the fridge.
Yeah.
I'm just straightforward. Veg in the fridge, fruit out the fridge.
Okay.
Pretty much.
It's okay, I think, if you're going to eat it quick, the fruit, but if you're not, it's...
I think if my fruit was in the fridge, it wouldn't get eaten because the husband and the kids are just constantly picking at it.
yeah, that's true.
Yes, once it's inside.
And lemons and limes outside of the fridge, I would.
Outside, but I have had lemons in the fridge only because I've had so many given to me. And I thought, they will eventually go off, so I'll just put them in the fridge for now. And they keep for ages in the fridge.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start putting them in the fridge.
Yeah.
It says here, experts say that we're doing it wrong, basically.
Always.
Yeah, apparently we should do it the other way round. Tomatoes and cucumbers can be kept at room temperature, the same as in the supermarket. Well, that kind of makes sense. I suppose once you've cut into a cucumber, surely then you'd put it in the fridge.
Definitely.
And room temperature in the supermarket is freezing.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, and how much room do these people have in their kitchens to be putting their food all over the work surfaces? That's another weird one. It says here, although they're harvested, they are still alive, and the cells can break down when exposed to cold, affecting flavour and texture. The same applies to peppers and aubergines. Both thrive for 3 to 7 days at room temperature. In the fridge, the cold can make them go soft. Do you imagine going to someone's house and they've got all of their fruit and vegetables out on their kitchen work surfaces?
Cycle.
It would be weird. Okay, this is one that I thought interesting. Never chill your tomato ketchup.
I always do.
Same here.
Mine's in the fridge. I don't like it, but it's in the fridge.
I don't eat it, but it says on the box or the thing to put it in the fridge.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, very bizarre.
Well,
I always go around to my aunt's house and stuff and go, put it in the fridge. And they're like, you don't put that in the fridge. But I do.
But are they in Ireland?
Yeah.
See, room temperature's colder, isn't it? It's interesting. It says here, condiments are a controversial subject, but the experts agree ketchup doesn't need to be kept in the fridge, along with brown sauce, mint sauce, mango chutney, soy sauce, hot sauce, Worcestershire sauce, pickles, jarred olives, jam, honey and vinegar. See, some of those things I would keep in the fridge, some I wouldn't. Vinegar I wouldn't keep in the fridge.
No.
Jam, yes. Jarred olives, Pickles, Worcestershire sauce, no. Hot sauce, no.
Mint sauce, I would.
Mint sauce, I would. Mango chutney, I would. Soy sauce, I wouldn't.
No.
It's funny, isn't it? Well, at least we're all on the same, but we're all doing it wrong, so that's good. It's something which I also thought was weird is nuts are supposed to be kept in the fridge. Which I've never heard of. Unopened nuts have a long shelf life, but as soon as you tear open that packet of peanuts, they start to rot. To prevent this, nuts should be kept in the fridge.
No.
That's
I always
weird,
think they go a
isn't it?
bit soft.
Yes, I would have thought that.
I put the seal thing, if I've got a bag.
Yeah.
Those
Or put them
IKEA
in
things.
plastic
so it's
tub or
proper.
something.
Yeah, so it's proper. Butter apparently can be kept out of the fridge for up to a week. Again, this is a temperature thing, isn't it? 'Cause there's no way we could here.
Over here, especially when I'm making the cakes. It's the eggs and the butter.
Yeah.
Eggs I have out of the fridge deliberately, even now and in the summer, because they have to be room temperature for the baking, and that will mess them up if they're in the fridge.
Interesting. 'Cause do you always keep them out, or is that just for cake making?
Always out of the fridge, just anyway, because basically I just get through them so many. They're always on the side.
Okay.
The butter I keep in the fridge, and then I just have to microwave it to get it soft.
Right.
Yeah, that's
get
all
going,
you have to
but-
do.
So maybe that's something I might have been doing wrong when I've attempted baking over the years. We keep our eggs in the fridge.
Oh, yeah, cold eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, not
and
good,
I've never been
not
able
good.
to make a pavlova or like a meringue here in Spain. I always think the eggs are weird, but maybe it's...
Cold
The
eggs.
I just thought Spanish eggs are weird. It's not to do with my talents.
Of course not. It's the eggs. That's funny. No, but would you normally store them in the fridge as
Yeah.
well? Ah, there
Yeah,
you
so
see.
maybe
That's where we're
that's
going
it.
wrong.
Maybe. Could be.
Catherine, the professional cake maker, is telling us we need to keep
Yeah,
them
so
out
we
of
need
the
to
fridge.
Try it now and see what happens.
Okay, that's a good one. Bread is another fridge no-no. While some swear that it stays fresh for longer, the science shows that it actually goes stale. The low temperatures causes the starch to recrystallize inside your loaf, making it hard and stiff.
Mine's out of the fridge.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, mine does generally. Sometimes I put it in the fridge, I don't know why.
Just tidy up a bit,
yeah,
put it in there.
that's right.
Eggs, it says keep it unchilled as long as your kitchen isn't too humid. Because that's it. But even in the summer, you keep the eggs out of the fridge even in the summer, and it's okay.
In a cool area, so it's like hot sun,
not in the
sunny,
blazing sun,
yeah.
but
No, okay. And you'd keep them there for days, weeks, whatever.
I mean, to be honest, so yeah, I buy them, and then probably within 2 days the whole 12
gone.
pack is gone,
Okay.
or even in a day.
So you use
So
them
they're not
quick.
really out for a lot. Yeah.
No, okay. Chocolate, again, this is chocolate would melt if it wasn't in the
Yeah.
fridge. I always keep chocolate in the fridge.
Yeah, always.
Not that we eat a lot of
No.
chocolate, do we, ladies?
No.
That doesn't stay long in the fridge either. Straight to the mouth.
This is an interesting one. If you're keeping leftovers, you should let the leftovers cool for 2 hours before putting them in the fridge. Yeah, I never put hot things in the fridge.
Yeah, I try to wait, and then sometimes I think I can't be bothered, and I just put it in the fridge.
Well,
Or
exactly.
you
if it's
go
at
to
night
wait.
and you want to go to bed,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like, well, I can't.
Yeah.
But then you forget and you wake up and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, I didn't put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving on from talking about food to talking about weight. There is no connection, of course, is there? Not at all. So this is an article written by Amanda Platel, who is a journalist who, I have to say, often writes articles that are a little bit judgy.
Yeah.
So shall we say. And this headline kind of says it all. She's kind of going back on her judginess. She says, I've been shaming fat women for years. Here's why I finally realised I got it horribly wrong. So she talks about some of the horrible things that she said about various larger women in the public eye over the years, saying fat is not fabulous. She said the American singer Lizzo was a walking advertisement for type 2 diabetes, lack of self-control, the antithesis of everything healthy and happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty horrible.
Outrageous.
I know, horrendous. So now she's saying, basically, she was talking about the American actress Jennifer Coolidge from
That White
what's it called?
Lotus.
White Lotus,
yeah.
exactly, yes. And she said she won a Screen Actors Guild, and she's assuming that this actress is size 16 plus. But she said she looked absolutely fabulous. She said she knocked them dead with her cleavage, wit, and sheer chutzpah. This was a woman who once admitted to eating 6 pizzas a day, and look at her, an icon of middle-aged talent and joie de vivre who has swept the board at this year's awards ceremonies for her role in The White Lotus. She said, "I was struck by a thunderbolt. Bigger can be beautiful." And she realised that women like Jennifer are glorious, and she acknowledged that, in fact, with a stab of guilt, just how fat-phobic she was. She then goes on to say, "Last month we saw Sarah Lancashire smashing it in the final of Happy Valley." Did you watch Happy Valley?
Yeah, loved it.
Absolutely brilliant. And everyone was talking about how amazing she was as an actress and as a woman, and also her character and the kind of things she did in the show was really good. And Amanda goes on to say, you know, a bigger woman with a huge heart whose courage we wanted to emulate. And we didn't just fall in love with Catherine, we wanted to be like her. She says, "The larger lady has definitely arrived and different female body shapes are now accepted. It's just taken me and many others of my generation a while to realise that we've been worshipping the abnormally thin for far too long and criticising any woman who didn't live up to an often unobtainable body type." Do you think you've kind of seen a shift in people's attitudes towards other women over the years? Have you?
I think this has happened ages ago. Yeah. I think she's more than late to the party. I think it's absolutely insane. She's trying to drag everyone else, going, "Oh, people of my generation have finally arrived to the party." No, everyone was there years ago. Yeah. Just you, love.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I thought that.
Yeah, and I think like what she's saying about like Jennifer Coolidge. Okay, she's whatever you want to say about her size, but she's all the other things she is are what makes her amazing. Like there's skinny women and fat women or bigger women or whatever, and it's not whether they're skinny or not that makes them attractive, or it's their personality or their talent or their sexiness. And I think that's the thing that's
it shouldn't come into it.
No,
it doesn't though. In reality, when you meet someone, like they can be really attractive, and it's their personality and their intelligence or their wit or whatever it is that you admire. And really, it's not their weight.
No,
at all. That has.
It's not. It's not. Men's weight isn't commented on in the same way that women's is. You know, there's lots of great male actors out there who aren't. You know, really skinny and, you know, got 6 packs and aren't deemed to be, you know, leading man, amazingly good looking. But people don't necessarily comment. They just go, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of him. He's such a great actor. I love his films." Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything about his looks at all.
And he could be attractive to a lot of people and not necessarily good looking, or, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Exactly. It's just baffling that it's even really a topic or an issue, because it's so obvious that what make people attractive is their personality. Okay, looks fine, but it's just immature of her to judge people like this on something so ridiculous. I just actually find it weird that she's commented on this.
Yeah, putting yourself out saying that.
And I have to say, I'm not being rude. I'm just, you know, observing, you know, looking at photos of her. She's not a skinny rake herself. So that's the interesting thing. You often see people that are very kind of, you know, a bit judgy of people's looks. You kind of think, well, you're no old painting yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really, like, who do people think they are?
Honestly, I think she's quite deluded, and perhaps because she's
herself
getting on herself, that she's now thinking, oh, actually, maybe, I would love to be like Jennifer Coolidge. Yeah, you would. You'd love to be like her, because she's amazing, and you are not.
And you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case you're listening.
You never know. Yes, we should try and embrace our womanhood, shouldn't we? It's at the end of the day, we're happier when we do. You know, I expect we've all gone through phases of, you know, feeling a bit low and thinking, I need to lose some weight, or want to do this, or what, you know, it happens, I assume, to every woman. Yeah. But how nice is it when you're not feeling like that? When either you have, if it is to do with weight, if you do feel better having lost some weight and thinking and feeling good about yourself, or if you haven't lost weight and you just think, you know what, this is me, I'm happy, I don't care. It's just a great place to be, isn't it?
Yeah. And also I think women's bodies change a lot when they get older. They change shape, and that's natural. And I think we're kind of, it's been beaten into us for so long that you need to keep this young shape, which isn't possible. I mean, not for everybody. It is for some people, but a lot of people, it's not possible. It's genetic or hormonal or whatever it is. And I don't think men's bodies change a huge amount in the same way.
No, it's slightly different, isn't it?
But I think we need to maybe start celebrating that as a good thing for women to change into it, just like you do when
also a privilege up. To get older,
exactly.
Isn't it? Just stop being so judgy. Just
absolutely.
Leave it.
Cheers to that. Let's have a break.
TRE
Talk Radio Europe.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's just coming up to 5:25. You're listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today, Catherine Holmes and Kate McGrath. I had an email as well, or a WhatsApp message saying fat shaming is counterproductive. I would rather like to see the topic take on the abuse of high fructose corn syrup. Well, that's quite a specific topic. And I'm afraid we haven't got any information in front of us on the abuse of high fructose corn syrup. So we can't comment on it, I'm afraid. But if you want to email it to me, I'll take a look, and maybe it's something we can look at on a future week. So thank you for that. There's an article talking about us being tracked every moment of every day. As firms harvest our most private information, much of it ending up in China, a reporter's minute-by-minute analysis of 24 hours under the eye of Big Brother. So she's talking about, waking up with her Apple Watch buzzing on her wrist. Then during the night, the watch has taken recordings of her heart and respiratory rate and whether she's snoring and all kinds of things like that. Then Siri tells her what music she wants to listen to. She opens up her fitness app on her watch and her phone in order to record what fitness she's doing. She browses the news websites and then gets loads of adverts sent to her. She walks to the tube. This is in London, obviously, and her Apple Watch and iPhone are monitoring all the walking she's doing. There's CCTV cameras everywhere. She taps into the tube with her credit card. She buys her lunch by tapping her card. Throughout the day, it's constant different devices and different ways that we're being kind of tracked or monitored, basically, from what we're doing personally with regards to fitness and what music we're listening to, what films we're watching, Spotify when it creates a playlist of songs that they think you might like, all this kind of thing. And obviously the whole idea of us slowly potentially becoming a cashless society and doing everything by card. I just thought it was an interesting discussion how you kind of feel about that. Do you think, it's just the way we're going, it's technology, it's all very handy and convenient and easy, or do you think it's a bit scary?
Well, looking at each other, I don't know. I think it is a bit scary, but I think it's a necessary thing when you're using all of these things. Like, you don't need to use all those apps. You don't need to do all those. But if you want to, I mean, these people, say Apple, for example, they're in business. So they're looking for your data. They're looking for your behavior so they can sell you stuff or sell it to other people. I think it's a bit naive to think that's not going to happen.
We all know that your phone listens to you, because we've tested it out a million times. If you say a random word like dog food and you don't even have a dog, and then half an hour later you'll get a pop-up on your screen for an advert for dog food, and it's 100%, because I've done it so many times with random, I'll just say the word Egypt, or I'll say the word, anything, and it definitely works.
It is a bit creepy.
Wow, that is, isn't it?
When your phone's not even on, when you're not looking on your phone, when your phone's just in your bag, it's still listening. Test it, people.
That is,
I think
it's scary. I don't like that.
There should be some more rules around it, I think, where these companies are not allowed to just take everything, maybe, and it's like in the article about cookies, I always just click on the cookies, accept all, and then I'm like, it's like essential and others. I'm like, why do they do that? It's just,
but if you don't, you can't go onto the website, can you? That comes up on loads of things now. You have to accept all cookies in order to...
options. Like, they have the essential and non-essential and something.
Reject all.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you reject all, you can't, but...
I've never seen options.
But sometimes with the cookie... Well, a lot of the times with the cookies, it's...
Cookie expert? Oh, cookie expert.
Cookies, baking
vanilla, chocolate.
chocolate chips.
For example, on Skyscanner app that I use a lot for flights to check out routes and prices and everything. And quite often I'll go on to Skyscanner, check the flight and price. I won't book it at the time, just to get a rough rough idea of when it lands, blah, 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 and work out my itinerary or my route. And then a few days later, I might go and have another look. And then because of the cookies, the price has gone up. And then every time you go back onto it, the cookies will knows that you are looking at that specific route, and it will increase the price.
Definitely.
No way.
Yeah. So if to kind of counteract that, to get round that, I would then log onto a different device and book it on that and see if that's different, the price. Because otherwise, if you're on your phone and you've checked it 5 times on your phone, if you log onto an actual PC or an iPad, just a different device, or so your friends.
Also, you can't be logged in as yourself on Google. Because it does that. Like if you go in, say it's on your phone or your iPad or maybe a friend's.
Yeah.
But if you're logged in as yourself on Google, it'll
still
just
remember
know it's you.
Yeah.
But I sometimes look up different days.
The price goes up each time.
Yeah. Like if you look up days around the day you want to go, rather than the specific day, then that day that you really want to go won't go up for you. The other days will. It's like,
oh, that's awful,
it is.
though.
It is quite cruel.
I never knew that. That's really terrible.
Yeah.
And how do you kind of feel about a cashless society? If we got rid of cash?
No, we have to keep cash.
I think so. I really think it's not good.
I never have cash personally. I wish I did because it's so annoying. Like I always just go around my card everywhere, and it's much easier now here than it used to be. Like I think
it's much more convenient not to have cash, but we can't get rid of cash.
No.
If you want to keep cash, then you need to keep spending cash.
I know.
The more that we stop spending cash, the more that it's likely to go in the direction of, well, people aren't that bothered, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
But we've got to try and go to the bank, take cash out and spend it, as opposed to tapping everything. It's difficult because it's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy. It really is. Once if you have got cash and then you kind of run out of cash and you're going to the supermarket, you don't need to go via the bank, do you?
No.
You know that you can just tap your card.
I remember about 5 years, whenever it was, 5 years ago in London, and I was getting on a bus and tried to pay with cash, and they were like, no, you can't pay with cash. And I was like, what?
Oh, really?
And then that went out years ago. I was like,
no way.
Oh my God. I mean, I haven't been on a bus for years in London, so that...
This was 5 years ago?
Yeah.
So you can only pay by tapping?
Yeah, so I said, what? And I just felt ridiculous then. I said, I've got an Oyster, but I don't know if there's any money on it. This, obviously I live here, so I said, I've got a really old Oyster card, and they're like, no, just your, what's it called? Tap and pay, And I went, oh, okay. And just felt really stupid. But
it is really handy though, because the way you used to have the right change for the bus and all this.
Oh, you'd have to wait while people are counting their money out.
One of the things I noticed in London was buskers have a little thing in the tubes sticking out from somewhere where they're standing for people to tap as they go by.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah.
And it's preset at £2 or £1 or whatever, and people just walk by tapping and they get loads of money.
And when we were on holiday at Christmas, there was people who were in a bar, in a pub, and someone came round collecting for charity. And we were like, oh, sorry, I don't have any cash. And they're like, here you go.
Tap this.
No excuse. I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's absolutely everywhere now. Everywhere.
That's it. I can't believe the bus.
I know, that's
so funny.
So clever.
But isn't it isn't there a worry of kind of security? I
don't know, people were just tapping away on the thing. Everyone walking by rush hour, they were just, it was cleaning up.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, it's obviously safe then.
Must be,
I'd think, what? Why would you do that? But I guess, gosh, okay.
I don't know.
Let's take a break and a breather before we move on to the next subject.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Women Talk with me in the studio today, Catherine Holmes and Kate McGrath. If you're listening at home and you'd like to get involved, you can. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
Okay, we're going to look at some subjects now, which are tricky subjects, shall we say, looking at the ideas of gender and how it's coming into schools and education. It's a very controversial topic, and I really do not want to offend anybody listening who is affected by this topic. So if you have a comment, please do get involved. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. And a lot of what I think we're going to talk about is maybe from a not really understanding point of view, as opposed to a judgmental point of view. That's definitely not what we're about. So there's an article here with the headline, Bye Bye Binary, She's My Dad, the trans books for pupils as young as 3. So these are picture books for, young children under 5. The one has a title, He's My Mum. One has a title, She's My Dad. There's another one, Payden's Pronoun Party, which is the title of the book. It says here, so here's a bit of the article. Children as young as 3 are being targeted by a surge of new books on transgender issues. Publishing experts say there are now scores of titles aimed at under 11s, introducing concepts such as men being mothers and children changing gender. Many are also included on primary school reading lists after being promoted by LGBTQ campaigners. Transgender Trend, a campaign group concerned about the sharp rise in young people changing gender, analysed 60 LGBTQ books aimed at primary age children. So the thing about mums being dads and dads being mums, in terms of the fact that children can obviously be raised by 2 women or 2 men, and I think it's really good and progressive, let's say, for that kind of thing to be openly talked about in schools, because there will easily be kids in school today who have 2 mums or 2 dads, which is perfectly fine and perfectly normal these days, which is brilliant. And it's a positive step forward. I think it must be awful if you were that child and it was never talked about, and kids were kind of going, how come you got 2 mums? I don't get it. And the child themselves maybe didn't really get it, or were being bullied at school, or so. And if all the lessons that were coming across were all about the fact that every child has a mummy and a daddy and that is normal life, that must be awful for the kid that has 2 mums or 2 dads. So I think for it to be talked about and discussed that the family unit is very different, or there could be a children that has a dad but doesn't have a mum, or a mum that doesn't have, or whatever. So I think that's a great thing that the family unit, I guess, is discussed in that way. Yeah. The whole pronoun thing for kids under the age of 10, talking about the fact that or encouraging children to talk about the fact that if you might not feel like you're born in the right body, you're a boy but you might feel like you're a girl, or you're a girl but you might feel like you're a boy. I don't know how I feel about that being discussed at a young age. I mean, I get that there are kids of that age who do feel that way. I don't know. Someone else say something. It's a tricky one.
I think it is very tricky. I think children of that age are very, what would you say, impressionable and open to anything. So personally, I think, like, if it's sex education, it's about, they're trying to teach people the different scenarios of how families are, maybe, and how children are conceived, how different part biology of the bodies and all of that,
which is important.
So that's important, and that's fine. But then you're going into a different realm, I think, when you're talking about, it's more sociology, when you're trying to discuss that level of culture and society with small children. They don't, like, you don't discuss, years ago or whatever, they didn't discuss the parents' relationship. And I don't know if that's relevant for somebody of that age. Like, they need to know just to understand. And I think if they're coming from a place of, these are the, everyone's different and everyone feels differently and everybody has their own different, unique family environments, that's fine. If it's coming from a place of acceptance and tolerance to different people, that's great. But not to encourage people to think to try and encourage, them to question themselves.
Exactly.
That they hadn't even thought about.
There is no question.
Exactly, and that's what they're saying. There's another article here which is talking about books. It says the books tell children they can decide their gender identity. There's a book called "Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl?" And it's got a picture of a girl on the front.
One of the things you have to decide is this. One of the things you have to decide. You don't have to decide that. If you feel like you want to, then... And also I think every parent knows their child. They know if it's a genuine thing.
I think for 3-year-olds is too young. Yeah. I think that is too young. Because if you're treating it because there's going to be a lot of questions, surely. If to have a fair discussion, there would need to be a lot of questions. And if the children don't know what questions to ask at age 3, I mean, would you consider having sex education? Would you give sex education to your child at age 3? I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
So why would you then also give education, which is education, but it is related to that, because ultimately, how would you describe what are 2 gay men, what are 2 gay women, etc.? And you'd have to answer questions which are related to sex, and then is that appropriate for a 3-year-old?
No.
Probably not. But then it's going to be what age is appropriate? Well, what age is appropriate now for sex education? I don't actually know what the answer is.
No, I don't.
I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I haven't had the conversation with either yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
Do you know what age?
Well, my daughter is nearly 12, and I don't know. Like, we did have... She told me not to say anything embarrassing today. So I'm trying to be careful.
No, but just when she had sex education, do you remember?
I don't remember getting anything from the school to say it was happening.
Right.
And she was in school in Ireland and then here, so I don't know. It could be different. She could have missed it. Maybe they did it later in the Irish one and earlier in the English one, and she never had it.
Yeah.
But I know she is aware and she knows. I've had a conversation with her, and I also, when she was younger, I bought her a book about it's all about growing up and becoming a teenager, and loads of different things. Like, it's things about online advice, things about
brilliant,
how to keep yourself clean, how many times you need to brush your teeth, all this, just everything. And I don't know, she's read it a few times, but she's reluctantly, but she's aware of stuff, and she's definitely aware of everything that you're talking about now. But
I remember, I'm interested if you remember what sex education you had at school and what age. I remember coming home from school, and I would have been at primary school, so I would have been around the age of 8 maybe, and I remember being really excited, coming home saying we played, because I've always liked playing games, so it was a game, we played reproductive bingo or reproduction bingo or whatever.
At 8?
At 8, yeah. And so it was just to do with body parts. That's all it was. So there were pictures of, and it was all very clinical words, urethra, and cervix, and all very medical terms for men and women's parts. And we were, as youngsters, just shout cervix, house, and stuff like that. So we were just shouting out, and it was really good fun, and it was just about body parts. That's what it was. We were looking at pictures going, okay, that's what that looks like. That's connected to that, and the egg comes out of there and it goes down that tube. Oh, okay. And then it was complete. It was biology, basically. I don't remember it going into sex education at that age. It was just biology, but it was called reproduction bingo. I just remember that title.
That just takes all the kind of embarrassment out of it.
Yeah, and it did.
Or an introduction to, so that they then can use the words and vocabulary to
exactly.
say what happens with these
parts. And then I remember would have been probably about 13, 14, learning about sexually transmitted diseases and being shown really awful graphic pictures of things, and everyone went,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, they did. Everyone was like, I don't want to, it was really horrible, but I think it worked. It did for me anyway. It really worked, as in, I need to be careful to not get any of them, because it was really shocking looking at it. Whether it was right or wrong, I don't know, but I mean, I feel like it was it sort of worked. Do you remember?
I went to a Catholic convent girls' school in Ireland, obviously, and I don't know. I know my mother and all of them. They never had any sex education. They didn't know anything about anything. So I think it was kind of a new thing, and they brought someone in, I can't remember, I think she was from some Catholic association or something, but she was actually, I was surprised how open she was, and it was all really practical things as well, about like, you know, make sure since like you have a shower every day, you change your clothes, you know, it was really practical stuff as well as actual facts about reproduction. And I remember thinking, God, I was quite surprised that it was quite informative and it wasn't embarrassing and, you know, all that. But like, we must have been 14 or 15 at that point. We already knew, I'm sure, about a lot of it anyway, but I don't know.
I remember seeing a program that Davina McCall hosted many years ago, and it was talking about sex education. That might even have been the title of the program. And she went to different places in Europe and went to schools and saw how different schools did it. And I remember being really surprised, but thought, wow, there's a part of me that feels like this is a good thing. When she was in Holland, or the Netherlands, and sex education there starts much earlier, and she was went through the statistics, and the rate of teenage pregnancy and things like that are much, much lower in the Netherlands, and sex education starts much, much earlier. And there was a scene where I can't remember how old the children were, but they were kids, and all of them were given I can't remember what it was made of, but a penis basically, and they were all given a condom, and all of them sat at their desk and they had to put the condom on the penis.
They have a completely different attitude to sex in general, I think.
And none of them were kind of giggly and laughing. It was biology, and it was explaining, you know, the situation that you'd need to be in order to put the condom on and why it was important. And it was like, okay, so the girls and the boys needed to learn how to do it. And I just and I remember it makes such sense. It made such sense. And Davina McCall said, if this happened in the UK, everyone would be laughing their heads off and so embarrassed and be like making funny things with the penis. I mean, you can just imagine, can't you? Everyone, if we did that in our school, everyone would just go, ew, and like waving them around and not.
A Danish friend of my daughter was telling me the other day that they have a cartoon in Denmark. I forget the name of him now. Dilly something. But he's basically a cartoon for children, and his superpower is he has an absolutely ginormous penis.
No way!
Yeah, it's really long. It's like really long. And
that's hilarious.
I'm sure there's some Danish people listening.
And this is for children?
Yeah, and it's just completely, like, it's just another body part. It's like having a really big hand or a really big leg, or I don't know. Oh, wow. I was like, really? It's for children? And she's like, yeah, me and my dad watch it, and it's really funny. And I looked it up, and it's
Dare
true.
I ask what he does with his superpower?
I don't know. I didn't watch this. I just saw images. I don't know. But he kind of has a jumper on, like Where's Wally, and that covers his big long
schlong.
penis, but it's bizarre.
Funny.
Like in our culture, that would be
that wouldn't be
that wouldn't happen. It totally wouldn't happen. Wow. Okay, let's take a break while we Google that cartoon.
Talk Radio Europe.
Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the last part of Women Talk. With me in the studio today, Catherine Holmes and Kate McGrath. So we've just seen this cartoon. The size of it goes all around the garden. What's his name?
John Dillerman.
John Dillerman.
That's the name of the cartoon,
Okay. And he's got, so is the red and white top even goes over his
I think
penis,
it's a new,
which stretches
a new
all the way.
one actually last year, or 2021 it says.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah.
The cartoon, I mean, not the... Brilliant.
I think it's funny.
There we go.
Interesting.
It
differences in what
very, very
we say to children.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to look up that cartoon. It sounds fascinating. Moving on to something of a similar subject. A school has suspended sex education lessons after a drag queen who appeared as a guest speaker reportedly told pupils there are 73 genders and made a child who argued that there are only 2 leave the classroom. An independent review has been launched after Year 7 children as young as 11 were left traumatised following a lesson about sex change operations and sexual acts. Parents had raised concerns in a petition, particularly about the graphic, disproportionate, indecent presentation of sexual acts and gender identities being taught to their children. The petition called on the head teacher for an immediate investigation, asking how an inexperienced and untrained adult was permitted to discuss gender issues to an inappropriate child audience. 73 genders.
73?
The mind boggles.
You can probably name 4 or 5.
Yeah, we never say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to understand, because there's a difference between gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
Totally. So it's not the same as, going down the kind of bi route and bi-curious and all of that.
Yeah.
Because that's to do with sexuality and who you're attracted to. Gender is...
Gender.
Gender is gender. Gender's to do with what body parts you have, and also it comes into it what body parts you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you can be transitioning.
Male, female, pre-trans and trans.
And nothing. I don't know whether people who don't identify as either.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
No, that makes perfect sense, Catherine. But people who don't so non-binary, that's called, isn't it? Non-binary,
Yes.
which is Sam Smith.
Yeah.
But again, so that's got nothing to do with his body parts. He's not he's not trans.
Nothing.
He just
He's
doesn't
neither.
identify. Exactly. He doesn't identify with being male or female.
Yeah.
So that's the non-binary thing. So I guess that would be another
So
one.
that would be 5 then.
Yeah.
So where's 73?
73 is just unbelievable. If you're listening and you have any comments on this, or another 60 odd genders that you can share with us, please do, because we'd love to be educated on this. As I say, we're not judging, we just don't know anymore.
There was one more which I saw the other day, which it was a meme, to be fair, and it said, "I'm quite chubby, but I identify as skinny, so I'm trans slender."
Oh, I love that.
But that's it, isn't it? I mean, people can identify as whatever they want, but that's fine, and that doesn't matter. But it's when I think the issue, it's a big, huge conversation, obviously, when people, like the discussion around should trans men be allowed into female bathrooms and different things like that.
It's so difficult.
And
And sport as well.
It's
I think really
that's
complicated.
a huge complication of society now. But also it's trying to
be inclusive.
Children. You're trying to be inclusive and teach children and adults as well to not, what's the word?
To not judge. To not
people, discriminate. But then you come into the, area of, do you need to be completely specific about all these things? Does it matter what, obviously your gender matters, but if you're slim and you identify, I don't know, does it need to be a thing?
Well,
always,
Yeah, no, I mean, the Sam Smith thing has been really interesting. I don't know if you heard, he was on the One show a few weeks ago, and someone talked about fishing and said, have you always fancied yourself a bit of a fisherman? And he said, fisher them. And he said, sorry, I can't even say he said. They said, I'd like to try fishing. I can't remember how he phrased it, but I keep saying he. It's so difficult. I'm really, really sorry.
No.
They were saying that it should be called fisher them, or in their view it should be.
But if there was
not for everybody. If there's a woman, a fisher woman,
a fisher person.
Yeah.
Are they not called a fisherman?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if a woman would feel like she should be called a fisher woman, or whether she'd be. I don't know.
It's the whole.
I really
it's all
don't
of
know.
I think like fireman, firewoman, firefighter.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're live on TRE.
Good afternoon, ladies. It's Lorenzo from Mallorca here.
Hi.
I was just wanted to mention that when you mentioned at the very start of the program about the footprint that we all leave behind on internet, especially when you are booking for flights.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, I was told to if you only have one computer, I was told you have to delete your history and activity on your browser. Mm-hmm. And that will prevent, or that would delete or erase the entire activity, so that they don't have any.
So deleting cookies, do you mean specifically?
Not cookies.
Not cookies.
Not cookies. The activity.
Browsing history.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that apparently works. haven't tried
we'll try
it,
that.
but, you know.
Delete cookies,
Right.
delete browsing history. Brilliant. We'll try it.
you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks.
no
Thank
problem.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, there must be something, doesn't there? So we'll have to try that next time you're looking for flights.
Definitely.
Try the different things. Okay, let's see if we can do a slightly different subject. Although, here we go. We've got just under 4 minutes. So this one is about mirrors in schools. Parents' anger at school where mirrors in girls' loo were replaced with anti-makeup posters. So the motivational quotes have been put instead of mirrors on the girls' loos, saying things like, "Dear girls, makeup is a harmful drug. Once you start using it, you'll feel ugly without it."
Wow.
And then things like, "If all girls started wearing no makeup and comfortable clothes, guys would have no choice but to fall for girls because of natural beauty." No choice.
Oh, gosh.
Beauty is nothing without brains. I'm not here to be average. I'm here to be awesome. There is beauty in everything, but not everyone sees it. And self-love is my superpower. So they've literally got rid of the mirrors and replaced them with those things. And the parents have gone a little bit nuts about it.
Did they do it in the boys' toilet as well?
No, the boys have still got mirrors.
So they're allowed to...
Yeah, they're allowed to look at themselves.
Okay.
Tad OTT, isn't it?
So parents said the posters were patronising and degrading and demanded their removal. One said, "Is the school really telling girls that putting lipstick on is as bad as injecting heroin or taking crack cocaine? Yes, girls need to be taught about inner beauty, but this approach is plain wrong."
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Isn't it?
It's like, what's the term? Cracking a nut with a hammer, whatever the term is. It's just, I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to have a positive thing.
They could do it just in the...
But you could have it beside the mirrors. You don't need to take the mirrors away.
Well, they could just discuss it in class.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It could be part of the lesson, but stopping them from looking in the mirror. I mean, for goodness'
It's just unrealistic, isn't it?
Isn't
madness,
it? Isn't it? It's an interesting thing, that the whole wearing makeup thing. I've never worn a lot of makeup, and throughout my life I've had friends who wear lots of makeup and friends that don't wear much, if any, makeup at all. It's quite an interesting sort of discussion point in terms of how you feel with or without makeup.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, isn't it, as well?
Definitely is.
And, you know, sometimes I'll put makeup on even though I'm not going to see anyone. It's for I put it on for myself.
Okay.
You know, I want to feel nice. I want to look nice. And I'm not saying that I don't feel nice without it, but I feel nicer with it. And sometimes I can't be bothered, so I don't put it on. But if I, you know, if I want to,
I think I probably wore a lot more makeup when I was younger. And I think, you know, younger girls have different things that they're worried about or feel conscious about, and maybe older women do. I don't know, that's just me. As I got older, I probably wear a bit less. I feel a bit more comfortable in myself, maybe.
Yeah, that's nice.
But like that, sometimes
some women wear more when they get older, don't they?
So
I mean, it can go the other way.
But whatever makes you feel good.
I think that's unrealistic to expect girls to grow up and think, I'm not going to wear makeup.
Yeah.
It's
completely.
just deluded.
And make the boys like girls who aren't wearing makeup.
Yeah, so the whole world will just stop wearing makeup then, that's...
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen, is it? We're at the end of the show now. Thank you, ladies, both of you very much for coming in, and have a good weekend.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.